This is me and Jackson. We're about to perform a song. Now, I was never allowed in other people's bands, but I managed to find a bird that likes to sing with me. How did I get Jackson? It's an interesting story. Jackson was found as a baby and brought into the pet shop where I worked. He couldn't walk at all. In fact, his legs were all folded up and he was a cripple. Here's him lying on the ground when he was only a few days old, and his head's been pecked and mobbed by his own kind. His feet had obviously been set in the wrong way, and he couldn't stand on them at all. But I kept him, and I kept feeding him worms and looking after him. And he didn't have a name. But the reason he's called Jackson is because one day, when I was feeding him, he did a funny thing. He suddenly stood up and walked. Not forwards, though. Backwards.
Good boy. Good boy. You want a mealworm? I'll get you one.
How could anybody not love Jack? I think he's the coolest thing I have ever owned. And as he has grown up, he has not only learnt how to walk, but he can fly a short way too. But he's very, very tame, so he couldn't be released into the wild. For starters, he plays with things like colouring pencils and thinks that children are his friend.
Jack, do you like your new perch? Jack.
He lives loose in my room. I tried putting him in a cage, but eventually we made this kind of perch structure, which links onto some shelving units within my room. He runs around them for most of the day, and occasionally flies onto the floor and poos everywhere. I take him outside on walks. He likes to sit on branches, but he flies back onto my shoulder. He escaped once and got lost in the woods for about 2 hours. When I found him, he was dangling by that crippled foot, and that was one of the real reasons we decided not to release him. It's got to the point where I wouldn't dream of jamming without Jack. When I pick up my guitar, he likes to sit onto my shoulder, and we practice songs together, mostly in my room. He likes a good scratch. He likes to be scratched on the side of his head. He's my friend, and I understand his ways, and he understands mine. Here's an example of us playing together. I hope you enjoy it.
I am that girl who works with the animals. I bring them breakfast, then I pick up all their poo, and every piece of straw that falls upon the carpet's picked up too. Jack, you make a mess, I think it's best, Jack, that you pick it up too.